Hidden beneath the sparse hair of this warthog, countless tiny parasites are feeding. They cling behind its ears, beneath its jaw, around the base of its mane, and inside folds of skin the animal cannot easily reach. Some are barely visible. Others have already swollen after taking blood from their host. The warthog shakes its head. It flicks its ears. It scratches against rough bark and lowers its body into cool mud. For a few moments, the irritation fades. But when the mud begins to dry and crack, many of the ticks are still there. The warthog can rub its shoulders against a tree. It can scrape its sides against the ground, but it cannot inspect the narrow space behind its ears, the creases around its eyes, or every hidden patch beneath its coarse mane. Removing them alone is almost impossible. Then, from a nearby acacia tree, help arrives. A small red-billed oxpecker drops from a branch and lands on the warthog's back. Another follows, then another. Within moments, a small cleaning team is moving across the animal's body. The warthog does not run. It does not immediately shake them away. Instead, it stands quietly as the birds begin their search. Each oxpecker grips the warthog with strong feet adapted for clinging to large mammals. Its claws hold tightly against the animal's coarse hair and rough skin. Its stiff tail helps support its body as it leans forward. Then its bill begins to work. One bird searches along the shoulder. Another moves toward the base of the mane. A third steps carefully across the warthog's head and lowers its face behind the ear. The search is systematic. The birds part individual hairs. They inspect wrinkles. They probe narrow creases where ticks remain protected from mud, dust, and the warthog's own attempts at grooming. Then one bird finds something. Its head tilts. The red bill closes around a swollen tick. With one precise pull, the parasite releases its grip. For the tick, feeding ends instantly. For the bird, it is a rich mouthful of protein. For the warthog, one source of irritation is gone. The oxpecker swallows and immediately searches for another. This is where the cleaning becomes strangely satisfying to watch. Find, grip, pull, swallow, then move to the next patch of skin. The birds repeat the same sequence again and again. A tick disappears from behind the ear. Another is removed near the jaw. A third is pulled from beneath the mane. Each movement is small, but together the effect begins to grow. The warthog's ears stop flicking so violently. Its head becomes still. Its breathing slows. It lowers itself onto the dry ground while the oxpeckers continue working. One bird stands almost vertically against the side of the warthog's face. Another disappears partly beneath the raised edge of an ear. Only its back and tail remain visible while its bill searches the protected skin inside. This is exactly where the warthog needs help most. Ticks often gather in warm, sheltered places where the skin is thinner and where the host cannot easily groom itself. The ears offer protection. So do the eyelids, the neck, the underside of the body, and the skin around the legs. For a small bird, these are feeding grounds. For the warthog, they are places of constant irritation. The oxpeckers move with remarkable confidence. They hop across a body many times larger than their own. They remain balanced while the warthog walks. When it suddenly shakes its head, the birds spread their wings, adjust their footing, and continue. Their lives are closely tied to large African mammals. Buffalo, giraffes, rhinoceroses, zebras, antelope, livestock, and warthogs can all provide food. But not every animal is equally valuable. The best host is not simply the largest. It is the animal that offers the greatest amount of accessible food. Warthogs have relatively sparse body hair compared with many heavily furred mammals. This gives the birds a clear view of much of the skin. They can move quickly between exposed ticks instead of searching through a dense coat. The warthog's habit of spending time in mud may remove or discourage some parasites, but it does not reach every protected fold. And because warthogs cannot groom every part of their bodies, a persistent supply of food may remain available to the birds. The exchange appears almost perfect. The oxpecker receives a meal. the warthog loses blood-feeding parasites. This is the familiar image of mutualism, two species benefiting from the same encounter. But nature is rarely that simple. Oxpeckers do eat ticks, flies, larvae, and other small organisms found on their hosts. Yet ticks are not the only things they seek. The birds may also investigate earwax, mucus, loose skin, and natural secretions. If they discover a wound, they may feed around its surface or take advantage of exposed fluids. At that moment, the relationship can begin to change. Removing a parasite may benefit the warthog. Irritating an injury may not. The same bird can behave like a cleaner in one place and an opportunist only a few centimeters away. This does not mean every oxpecker deliberately harms its host. It means the bird follows food wherever it is easiest to obtain. Its first concern is survival. The warthog must decide whether the discomfort caused by the bird is worth the relief it receives from parasite removal. Sometimes the answer appears to be yes. The warthog may stand still, lie down, or position its head in a way that allows the birds to search more easily. At other times, it may flick an ear, shake its body, or suddenly rise and force the birds to move. The interaction is not a friendship in the human sense. It is a continuous negotiation. The birds remain while the feeding is productive. The warthog tolerates them while their presence is useful, or at least not irritating enough to stop. Now the cleaning spreads to the most difficult areas. One oxpecker moves beneath the warthog's jaw. Another works along the folds of the neck. A third searches near the front legs, stepping carefully as the animal shifts its weight. The birds do not remove every parasite. No cleaning session can guarantee that. Some ticks remain too small to notice. Others hide beneath dried mud or in places the birds do not inspect. But the visible burden begins to fall. Where several swollen ticks once crowded together, only small marks remain. The warthog no longer scratches continuously. Its ears move less often. For the first time in hours, it appears able to rest without constant irritation. The birds continue until the easiest food has been collected. Then, one by one, they begin to leave. The first oxpecker lifts from the warthog's shoulder and flies toward another animal. A second follows. The final bird remains behind the ear for a few more seconds, removes one last tick, and then disappears into the open savanna. The warthog rises slowly. Dust falls from its skin. It shakes once, looks across the grassland, and begins walking toward the rest of its group. The parasites have not vanished completely, but many of the largest and most accessible ticks are gone. For the warthog, the relief may be temporary. More ticks can attach later. New parasites can appear as it moves through vegetation, rests in burrows, or passes through areas used by other animals. The cleaning birds may return tomorrow, or another group may arrive before sunset. Across the African savanna, interactions like this happen without ceremony. There is no agreement, no promise, no permanent loyalty, only opportunity. A warthog carries food that a small bird can reach. The bird removes organisms the warthog struggles to reach alone. Both leave the encounter with something valuable. One receives nourishment, the other receives relief. And the satisfaction of watching each tick disappear reveals something larger than a simple cleaning session. In nature, survival is often built from countless small exchanges. A bill closing around a parasite, a host remaining still, a tiny bird stepping carefully across the body of a much larger animal. Individually, each action seems insignificant. Together, they form one of the savanna's most unusual relationships. The warthog continues across the golden grass. The oxpeckers search for their next host. And somewhere beneath the African sun, another quiet cleaning session is about to begin.